Let's go Falcons! Coming with the latest news just for you. But before we get into today's wild trade rumor, hit that like button if you're hoping we make it to the Super Bowl this season. We've got a crazy scenario going around that could shake up not just Atlanta, but the entire NFL. So let's get to it. Alright, let's get right to it. There's been a growing buzz surrounding the Seattle Seahawks potentially making a massive trade with the Atlanta Falcons. But here's the twist. It's not for Michael Penix Jr. Instead, the rumor suggests that Seattle may be eyeing veteran quarterback Kirk Cousins. Yep, you heard that right. First, let's talk about why Seattle would consider making such a move. Last year, there were reports that the Seahawks wanted to trade up to the top 10 to draft Penix, though they later denied it. But if that rumor had any truth to it, it means they weren't entirely sold on Geno Smith as their long-term guy. Fast forward to now, and there's still speculation that the Seahawks could be looking to make a change at quarterback. That's where this latest trade prediction comes in. TWSN's Marissa Myers is suggesting that Seattle could make a deal with Cousins, largely because of his connection to Seahawks offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak. For those who don't remember, Kubiak was Cousins' offensive coordinator in Minnesota. And during their time together, the Vikings' offense ranked 12th in total yards, 14th in scoring, and 11th in passing. Kubiak knows how to get the best out of Cousins, so on paper, the move could make sense for Seattle. But let's be real, this trade would be a tough sell. First, there's the age factor. Cousins turns 37 before the season starts. If Seattle wants a long-term solution at quarterback, Cousins is clearly not the answer. Then there's the reality of how he played in 2024. He started strong but completely fell apart down the stretch, throwing just 1 touchdown and 9 interceptions in his final 5 starts. That brutal finish benched him in favor of Penix, and now the Falcons are moving forward with the rookie as their guy. And then there's the contract. Cousins signed a massive 4-year, $180 million deal last offseason that comes with a $40 million salary cap hit this year, and a ridiculous $57.5 million hit in 2026 and 2027. Unless the Falcons are willing to take on a large chunk of that contract, which seems unlikely, this deal simply doesn't fit Seattle's financial situation. Now, from Atlanta's perspective, trading Cousins could make sense if they're all in on Penix. If they believe he's ready to be a full-time starter, getting Cousins' contract off the books would free up a lot of salary cap space for other areas of need. But realistically, who's taking on that deal? Seattle? Probably not. Even if the Seahawks believe Cousins is a better fit for Kubiak's system than Geno Smith, does it really make sense to swap out a younger, cheaper quarterback for an aging veteran with an expensive contract? Not really. If this trade somehow happened, Seahawks fans would lose their minds, and honestly, I wouldn't blame them. Alright, Falcons fans, now it's your turn. What do you think about this wild trade rumor? Should the Falcons try to move on from Cousins and fully commit to Penix? And if so, do you see any team actually taking on that contract? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Alright, let's talk about the upcoming NFL draft. We're still a couple of months away, and let's be real, trying to predict what the Falcons will do at pick 15 is like throwing darts blindfolded. But one thing most people assume is that Atlanta has to go defense. I mean, how long have we been begging for an impact edge rusher? But hold on, Falcons beat writer Josh Kendall just threw a curveball into the mix. He recently brought up the possibility of Atlanta drafting an offensive player in the first round. Yeah, I can already hear some of you yelling at the screen, but let's break this down. On the morning shift, host Mike Johnson asked Kendall if drafting an offensive player would send Falcons fans into a frenzy. Kendall agreed, but also made an interesting argument. Look at how teams like the Eagles have built through the trenches. His point? If an elite offensive lineman is sitting there at 15, it should be considered a smart pick. And listen, I get it. Falcons fans are tired of feeling like we're just one piece away. We've been through the whole cycle, thinking an elite QB, a generational tight end, or a dynamic running back would fix everything. But here we are, still searching for that missing link. So, could this be the draft where Atlanta focuses on fortifying the O-line instead? If the Falcons go this route, it would likely be for a right tackle to protect Michael Penix's blindside long-term or an interior lineman who can play center. And guess what? There are some intriguing first-round prospects who fit that mold. Will Campbell, he's considered the top OL prospect, but he's a left tackle. Could he switch sides? That's a big ask. Armand Membu, Brebler ranks him as the 8th overall prospect. He played right tackle in college and could be a legit upgrade over Caleb McGarry. Josh Simmons, he was neck and neck with Campbell as the top tackle before a knee injury ended his season. If he's healthy, he's a name to watch. Tyler Booker, a dominant All-American guard. Could the Falcons convert him to center? That's a tough call, but an interesting idea. What about the current O-line? One big factor in all this is Drew Dalman's free agency. If Atlanta re-signs him, they'd be bringing back the same starting five for a third straight season, a rare level of stability in the NFL. But if they let Dalman walk, the need for an interior lineman grows even bigger. And then there's Caleb McGarry. If the Falcons draft a right tackle, does that mean they're moving on from him? If so, they'll have to make some tough decisions about their cap space and roster construction. Look, I know most Falcons fans are thinking, we need a pass rusher, not another offensive lineman. And I hear you. But let's not completely dismiss the idea. Protecting Michael Penix is just as important as getting pressure on opposing QBs. So now, I want to hear from you. Would you be furious if the Falcons drafted an offensive lineman at 15? Or do you think building through the trenches is the right call? Drop your thoughts in the comments. All right, let's talk defense. We all know the Falcons made strides in 2024, finishing 8-9 in Raheem Morris' first season. But if we're being honest, this defense still needs work. Atlanta ranked 23rd in total defense, 22nd against the pass, and 15th against the run, not exactly championship numbers. And now, an opportunity may have just opened up. According to Ian Rappaport, Bengals linebacker Jermaine Pratt has officially requested a trade. If you don't know much about Pratt, let me break it down for you. This guy is a tackling machine. He's been a key playmaker in Cincinnati since being drafted in 2019, racking up at least 75 tackles in every season. And get this, he just put up 143 tackles in 2024, ranking 10th in the NFL. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The Falcons could be losing Nate Landman to free agency, and while Troy Anderson is still under contract, injuries have been a major issue for him. That leaves Caden Ellis as the only proven inside linebacker heading into 2025. Ellis was an absolute force last season, finishing with 151 tackles, second in the NFL. Imagine pairing him with Pratt. That's a legit playmaking duo in the middle of the field. Pratt has 1 year left on his contract at $7.9 million, which isn't a crazy number for a player of his caliber. The Falcons have some cap space to work with, and adding a proven veteran like Pratt could provide the consistency this defense desperately needs. Of course, it all comes down to what the Bengals are asking for. If Atlanta can land him for a reasonable price, this move makes a ton of sense. So, Falcons fans, what's your take? Should Atlanta go after Jermaine Pratt? Would he be the missing piece for this defense, or should the team look elsewhere? Let me know in the comments. And before you go, don't forget, hit that like button and subscribe for more Falcons news. The offseason is just getting started. Go Falcons!